Awesome. So thanks. Welcome everyone to AI for Beginners. That's a pretty broad, generic topic, but we're really going to look at two tools today, and the goal is to get familiar with what these things are, and then get the awareness and the curiosity about what they can do, and then you can refer back to these slides and all of the links and get right back into how you actually use these things, because this is going to be very much applied. I want to start by acknowledging that I'm on the land of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and I pay my respect to their elders, past, present, and emerging. AI for Beginners, welcome to the Atman Academy Learning Lab. The first tool we're going to be looking at today is called 11 Labs, and it's the tool you use for AI voiceovers. We'll have a look at how I actually trained this tool so that it recognizes my voice. And then Crime, who's on the call with us, he and I have been working on then using my voice to come up with storytelling around a bunch of ChatGPT tweets. And we'll look at how that whole thing works. We'll look at the workflow for the AI audio. When you use 11 Labs, you have to train it on your voice. So you have to give it really good quality audio so that it can then recreate you and narrate for you. So it's one thing to say, here's this cool tool, 11 Labs, but to actually understand, how do I record my voice? How do I get my voice into the format necessary for this tool? How do I clean it up? I'm going to show you an Adobe tool that can enhance your voice and get you that studio sound. And we'll go through that whole workflow. Then we'll jump into ChatGPT, go through the very basics, what's on the console, the navigation, the settings, that you can share conversations, those sorts of basic things, then get into the advanced features, the GPT Plus. And honestly, I think for most people, if you have any subscriptions at all, 20 bucks a month for the Plus features is incredibly powerful. It's a great investment. There are other options out there for free tools that can do a lot of these things, and I'll share a little more about the value I get out of this tool, and that's really what this is all about. Then hopefully, in spite of the late start, we'll have plenty of time to do question and answer. That all sound good? We happy? It's so funny when I look over here at the cameras versus on my slides. And jump off mute anytime. Please interrupt. Jump right in and say, hang on, I didn't understand that, or can I ask a question about that, or how it relates to my TikTok? Most importantly, I want to make sure the session is valuable for all of you. And shout out to the Luminary family. The luminaries in the house. There's actually most of you, I think, which is pretty cool. So hi, everyone. Let's jump right in. Just a quick introduction to myself. I'm Adam. I'm also Mentis. That link, which will be on the slide deck later, that takes you to my Luma profile, which has, I'm actually going to just share it real quick here. Or will I? That's the one. Go back. Here I am. So this is my Luma profile. I think it's pretty cool the way they have this set up. I have all my socials right there. There's also a place where you can share events that you have coming up, and then also a place for videos and those sorts of things. So it's kind of like a single page landing page kind of thing, but that's me, that's mine. You could also, through that, find me on LinkedIn if you want to get into my professional history and what I do during the day. But mostly what I love is Atman Academy and building educational experiences. I was at NFT Melbourne. We've done a few in real life workshops at Oshi Gallery. I did one for Variety, the children's charity. And now I'm just really opening the doors to doing these online events. It's new to me. I'm figuring this out as I go. Crime, who I mentioned, is joining me on making the AI Business Survival Toolkit. Launch date for that is TBD. Right now, we're using ChatGPT, using 11 Labs, using all of these AI tools to create a bunch of YouTube videos and have ChatGPT help us storytell and narrate, and that'll be part of the use case in the demo that you get to see today. So let's hop on in. We're actually not going to get right into the screen share yet. I'm just going to share a little more about the tools. and we'll look at what they are in a minute through a screen share. So 11 Labs, as I mentioned, you can see it can generate voice AI. You can type in 11 lets you voice any length of text in top quality. And then you can hit play and it can generate. I'd love to have other people test with other languages. It seems to actually do a pretty good job of generating the voices. They're up to like 18 or 20 different languages. And then as you can see in the bottom right here, here's an example. I actually trained it on my own voice, and we'll look at how to do that today. So as I said, a wise storyteller guiding the listener on an engaging journey, instructional and friendly, and you get to customize and choose how you want the AI to narrate you, and we'll actually see how all that works. This is the workflow I was talking about, and we'll go through we'll do a demo of this in a minute, but it will start with just the voice recorder I have here on my Windows PC. You can use any voice recorder, you can use your phone. The key is just to have some way to capture audio. In this scenario, the voice I record isn't the format that I need for the Adobe tool. So I'll show you how you can use VLC. It's a video player, an audio player, but it can also convert between formats. So in this case, I think we're going from M4A to MP3 or something like that, but we'll see as we walk through it. Then you take that audio, you put it into this Adobe Enhance free AI tool, and it will actually make it sound as if it was recorded in a professional podcasting studio. So you can take that audio from any one of these devices and really enhance the quality of it. And the end goal there is that we get a nice quality example of our own voice, so that then we can train 11 labs and then it can reproduce our audio for us. Questions, comments? Does that make sense?
What kind of costs are on these different? I know VLC is free, but 11 and Adobe Podcast.
Yeah, the Adobe Podcast is free as well, and 11 Labs, you do get some free use of it.
Mm-hmm.
With the amount we're using it now, we're using like $100 a month worth, and we're using all of it because we're generating so much audio content at the moment. But we're doing this big burst. We're producing my 100 days of ChatGPT tweets as medium form YouTube videos. So there's, as you can imagine, over 100 days, there's a massive amount of audio that needs to get narrated, but it's incredibly powerful to literally have crime narrating and storytelling and cutting this audio versus my having to literally record hundreds of hours of audio. So yep. There is a free option to get in there and play with it as well, though.
Cool.
Other questions? Good on the audio workflow? And we'll go through the demo and actually see how that works. And that's also what I showcase in my studio sound on a garage budget YouTube video that's on our channel. Then we'll get into the basics of ChatGPT, just so that you've seen it first before we walk through it. When you go into your settings, you have all sorts of things in there. That's where you have your plan. You can subscribe to the Plus subscription, and we'll talk about that. But everyone, whether you pay for ChatGPT or not, you have access to these custom instructions. And they're very powerful. We'll look at a bunch of examples of how those can be used. And then we'll dive into these beta features, which is under your settings. That's where you get the more powerful model, but you actually get a lot more when you pay for the Plus subscription, and it's hidden. You have to go into those settings, you have to go into beta features, and you have to enable the plugins, enable the advanced data analysis. Then they show up on the menu. And plugins is like the App Store. It's like the Apple Store. ChatGPT has made this platform, and now literally it's almost 1,000 different plugins are available. So we'll look at a few of them, a few ones I really like, and a few use cases of how incredibly powerful this tool gets now that they have that ecosystem built on top of it, even more so. We'll look at the data analysis a little bit as well. I have a YouTube video from last week it's called ChatGPT for spreadsheets. And that's all about how that advanced data analysis tool works as well. So if you want to deep dive into that, go have a look. And now we're really going to hop on in. So any questions on the content so far? What we've got going on the agenda for today? There's the Atman Academy website where you can sign up if you want to get cheat sheets and newsletters in the future about additional content and additional programs.
Oh, Mentis, there's just a quick question from Uncle
Yeah.
Bim Bim. He says, "Sorry, got to bounce. Will the recording be shared?"
I believe it will be. It's TBD whether it's going to be shared in the Luminary Club archive or whether I'll get to share that on the Atman Academy website. But everyone who's joined this will definitely get a link so they can go see that video. And see you, Kim. Thanks for dropping by. Questions, comments, anything else? We all good? Awesome. Let's hop on in. Here's 11 Labs, as I was showing you in that screen share. And let's see, this is a test. It's generating.
This is a test.
Could you all hear my audio?
Yep.
Awesome. That's going to be super helpful. And as you can see, they have different voices, right?
This is a test.
Sounds a little different. Let's go down and give Mimi a try. Let's try that again. So you see, that's the basic concept is you can type in and then it will voice it for you, and then you can download that audio. I'm going to go ahead and sign in. For all of these tools, for simplicity's sake, I just use my Gmail. You're welcome to or not. I'll jump in there. And we'll have a closer look at my account. So the voice lab itself is where I trained it. Here's that Me Mentis that I was showing you before. Well, as I was showing you just a second ago, when you're actually in the tool, here's your text that you put in there for it to narrate. And then up in the settings at the top, you can select which voice you want to use, an African old female, a low Aussie voice, or the one that I trained it on my voice myself. And we'll get a little more into, as I was saying, that whole workflow for that. There are voice settings. Honestly, Crime probably has more experience with this than I do. As you can see, there's the stability as well as the similarity. So as you move the similarity up, it will sound more and more like what you trained it on. But it says when you try and get it too much like your voice, it's funny. It starts getting like little hissing and popping noises almost. So it's really a bit of an art almost to play with the output, to slide these variables around and get a good sense. Crime, what did you end up on? Do you remember?
I absolutely do, yes. So for stability, I ended up on 48%. For clarity and similarity enhancement, I put it at 70%. Now, the reason for this, folks, was I was looking for more of an ASMR storytelling vibe, and I found that setting was perfect for that. I encourage everyone to have a tweak and find what you like for you. You might want the storytelling, you might want it a bit more hyper, you might want it a bit lower. You can play with it, but that's the base level for me.
Any questions about those settings? Thanks, Crime. Cool. So here's one I was using recently, and as you can see at the bottom, there's the quota remaining. That's your credits basically that we have remaining for the month. Since you asked, Georgie, I'll take a quick look. So on the free program, you get speech synthesis, 10,000 characters a month, up to 3 custom voices. You can do all 28 languages. So that's one of my personal goals, is to find tools that are free or that people can get value from without a subscription. And then I recommend where appropriate to pay. Obviously, if you're in a situation like ours where you're generating 500,000 characters a month, then it's going to be well worth it for you to get that kind of investment out of it, or that value out of your investment. Questions about this, or I'll just get into the actual training and how that worked. Cool. Let's proceed. So you see, if you want to create a new voice, like let's say we were going to redo mine or try a different version of mine, there's this instant voice cloning. It says clone a voice from a clean sample recording. So that's the real key here. As it says, sample quality is more important than quantity. Noisy samples may give bad results. Providing more than 5 minutes of audio in total brings little improvement. Then you can drag or drop audio or video here and it'll get the audio out of it. So mostly what I wanted to showcase today is, as you go through this process for yourself in the future, how do you get that studio quality sound on a garage budget? Questions about 11 Labs before I switch gears and hop into the voice recording demo?
There was one
I
in
don't know if
chat
this
there.
is too. Oh,
yeah.
sorry, Georgie.
You go ahead. You go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was just gonna. I don't know if this is too ahead or on par, but do we need a better microphone, or is this kind of like having a better microphone?
That's exactly why I discovered these tools. I was recording audio on a 10-year-old USB web camera. And
Oh,
I'm sure, as
Mentis.
you can imagine, the microphone on that was not the best. And that's when I made that YouTube video about how you can get that studio quality sound on a garage budget. It's all about using whatever microphone you have at hand, and then using tools to enhance that sound.
It sounded great, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just say at the moment I do a YouTube video with my voice in the background, like an English voice, but I don't think that they can understand me. So I need to type in so that the voice can speak in any language. So basically, if I want to do a voiceover on a YouTube, I need to write it down. Is that correct?
Yeah. If you want to
And
use
then
this tool, you would then paste here, hello everybody, so, right?
And then you have to do like a video cutting, editing in to place it exactly the time I want. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we do in our workflow. Is we then take this audio and we just put that as an audio track in the video editing software, and then you just cut it up so that the phrasings are at the right timing.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much.
Exactly.
How does it go with the Australian accent? Because most of them are a little weird.
I can actually answer that one.
Yeah, go ahead.
So as far as the Australian accents go, 11 Labs isn't great. We are currently working on a bit of a side project that we know about that does actually do, because the Australian accent has a very nasal twang to it. So we're working on a project at the moment for that, specifically for the Australian accent. We won't be covering that today, though.
Cool. Next lab.
Exactly. Stay tuned. Awesome. Thanks for the questions, everyone. So I'll just jump into a demo here. So here I've got literally my voice recorder, and anyone want to suggest some text that will have it say for me? What should I say? I'll just say. Hey everyone, thanks for coming. Welcome to the Atman Academy Learning Lab. This is me, Mentis. Yep, so then we got this recording. Hey everyone, thanks for coming. Welcome to the Atman Academy. Can you all hear that? When I play that, does that come through the audio to you?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So I don't know if you could tell through the transfer though, but it does sound very echoey. It sounds exactly like how it was recorded, which is through my web camera on the laptop while I'm sitting over here. I don't know if that's apparent, but so we now have this recording file. I can open the file location. Let's see where that is on my machine. So it's D user documents, sound recordings. That's clever. There's a sound recordings folder under documents, sound recordings. And this was Wonderful. It's got to be the most recent one, but where's the date? Let's see, date created. No? Oh, that's the wrong documents. I'll just go back to it. It was here. So here it is. Recording 7, that I believe is the one we just made. Let me just confirm that. Yep, there's the one for today. Now it's nice at the top. So we now have this recording, and it's an M4A format. As I show you, here's this Adobe Podcast tool. Clean up audio for free with Adobe Podcast AI, but it actually doesn't accept this M4A format. So what I want to show you is this other tool that I use in the middle here. It's called VLC Media. It's another free tool. And along with being able to open and play audio and video files, as I mentioned, there's an option in the menu here, convert/save. So the way this works is we select the file we want to convert. In this case, it was D. Sorry, user, documents, sound recordings. There it is. That's our file. And there's an option then at the bottom that says convert/save. So we click that. It says, okay, this is your source file, that M4A. What do you want to convert it to? In this case, we want to convert it to an MP3. And as you can see, it does a lot of different formats. So you can have one video format that you want to convert to another, or in this case, right, we're converting an M4A audio file to an MP3. Just VLC, especially being a free tool, it's really great for this sort of capability. And then we just select an output location. We'll put it in the same place. We'll call this welcome message.mp3. Save that in the same. Actually, I'm going to save that to my desktop so I can find it easier later. Then we just hit start. And that's it. It's done. It's already converted the file. Or has it? See if I lose you in the process. So what was that called? Goodness, this is the wrong place to put it. Welcome. Oh no. There we go. Welcome message. So now we have that same file, but it's an MP3 format. Hey everyone, thanks for coming. Welcome to the Atman Academy. Y'all with me so far? Making sense? So we recorded it, we converted it, and now we're going to clean it up using the Adobe tool. So we choose our file. Again, we'll go to the desktop. Welcome message.mp3. Open that up. It's enhancing the speech. There are some other free tools, by the way, on this Adobe site. The other one I used was this mic check, Christabel, which is before you're recording, and it'll help you figure out if you need to move your microphone further away or closer, those sorts of things. What's that?
I said, ooh, it's called
Oh,
mic
yeah.
check.
Yeah, and it's through that same site, just under the tools menu. So here we've got our enhanced file. Now let's have a listen. Hopefully you can all hear this as well. Hey everyone, thanks for coming. Welcome to the Atman Academy Learning Lab. What do you think?
Like sound quality or the style?
Yeah.
It seemed a little slow. Like
Interesting.
I don't know, like very
Here, let's listen to this one again.
Atman.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming. Interesting, yeah. Hey everyone, thanks for coming. Now let's listen here.
This is me, Mentis. Hey everyone, thanks for coming. Welcome to the Atman Academy Learning Lab.
I hear what you're saying. That's interesting. In this case, it works great because you're just using it to clean up the quality of the audio so that then you can train 11 labs on it.
Understand that what's happening there is not actually AI generated voice, it's just the cleanup of a voice recording.
And then you could just download that file, which is we won't do, but that's what I was showing you when you're in the voice lab, when you're trying to create a voice and it asks you for that recording of your audio. That's those are the steps. That's how you could get through, as I said, from the microphone and the recording to the conversion with VLC, and then up through enhancing the speech for use in 11 labs.
Can we back it up real quick? I'm sorry. I don't know why. It's always when we have to do too many steps, it can get a little confusing. So we converted. Why do we use Adobe? Like, why don't we just go from VLC media player, like that file?
Oh, it's because the quality of the audio here is echoey. And when we're training the AI on our voice, we want a good quality audio so that it can learn to sound like us.
No, I get that, but like, why you can't take it from the VLC media player when you convert it and just plug it directly into the 11 labs? Does that make sense?
You can. The VLC here's the VLC converted, and it's still echoing. We haven't enhanced the quality of the audio yet.
Okay, so still okay.
Yeah,
So
it just changes it to an MP3 file. It's still the same quality of the recording. See if that works. Oh, there we go. So we'll just do a demo of that for people who haven't heard it.
Hey there everyone, it's me, Mentis.
So that's the one that we have trained on my voice for now. Questions, comments? Ready to move on to ChatGPT?
Yes.
Let's do it. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Here's ChatGPT for anyone who hasn't at least seen it before. And I'm not going to lie, I have spent more time than I would want to admit looking at this page and reading all of the examples that it gives. Brainstorm names for my fantasy football team. Brainstorm names for an orange cat we're adopting from the shelter. Help me pick a gift for my dad who loves fishing. Help me pick an outfit that will look good on camera. Like, recommended dish. It just keeps going with like use case after use case after use case. And my mind started to get blown when I saw, like, and of course they can just use AI to probably keep generating. Help me debug a Python script automating daily tasks. Summarize this article as a table of pros and cons. And I get so many good ideas. I'm not gonna lie, I get so many good ideas about how to use ChatGPT by just looking at this login screen. So I figured that that's a good place to start the journey. As I mentioned before, I use zero auth, meaning I just connect in like a single sign-on with my Gmail for all of these tools. And we're logged in. So this, as you've seen already in the presentation, this is your basic, as I call it, your cockpit or your console for ChatGPT. On the left-hand side here, you have all of your conversation history. These are my ones from yesterday, from the previous 7 days, etc. With any conversation, at the top of it, there will be this little arrow, and there's an option to share the chat. So you can actually start a conversation with ChatGPT and then copy the link and send that off to someone else for them to go actually see that whole history of the conversation, which is a pretty cool feature they implemented a couple months ago.
Mentis, I have a quick question about
Yeah.
that if I can. So yeah, because I've been doing that a lot. I've been like saving them into notes and then sharing the notes to people. If
Mhm.
I send the conversation, do they have to have the chat GPT, or it's just like a link that they can open?
If they can view it without signing in, they can go read all the history and look at it. It's just like a web page almost.
Got it, good.
But if there's an option then for them to continue the conversation, and if they click on that, then they have to sign in. So we can actually, I'll just do a quick demo of that actually. So here's a conversation. If I share that chat, there's an option to either include your name or not when you share it. You can share it anonymously if you'd like. You copy that link, and then we'll see if I actually open that in another window. This is what that looks like, Christabel. So you don't need to be logged in to see someone's conversation. It's just if you click continue this conversation, or if someone you've shared it with does, then that would ask them to log in to continue using the ChatGPT tool. See, and then it'll actually just open that up in here for me. Cool. Awesome. I'll assume so. I did want to show you under the menu here at the bottom, when you click on your name, that's where you can see your plan, the custom instructions, and the settings in beta. And before we go any further, I just wanted to get into the custom instructions because that's something that's available on the free plan as well as the paid subscription, and it's very powerful and useful for everyone. So let's have a look at that first. As you can see here in mine, this top box, it says, what would you like ChatGPT to know about you to provide better responses? And you can see that it actually gives you a lot of ideas of what sort of information you could put in there. The key to these custom instructions is that they're available every time you converse with ChatGPT. So it just will remember more, it'll have more background. If you didn't put information in here, like where you're based, what you do for work, your hobbies, your goals, every time you start a new conversation, it would forget any history of anything you shared with it before. Every conversation is its own interaction with ChatGPT. So this now allows us to carry over some sort of context or persistent background information from conversation to conversation. Questions about that, the first part there? Cool.
I just want to comment that it is very genius because sometimes I'm like, I'm neurodivergent, please explain it to me that way. And I keep typing the same sentence and I was like, oh, maybe it's remembering now. This makes it easier.
Yeah, that's super helpful. And I'm going to get into some examples of custom instructions in a minute too that I found that I like to highlight. So the second box here, as you see when you click in, it talks about thought starters. So how would you like ChatGPT respond? This is your instruction to it. First one was more background information and context, and the second one is instruction. As you see, I don't actually give it anything in the first box because I actually find I use it so many different ways all the time that I actually would just have to keep editing that. And it's easier for me to just build up that information each time in a new conversation. But a lot of people find this very useful. We'll look at those examples. Here's the second box, which is how you would like it to respond. This is like a system instruction. So this is telling it what you want out of it. So how formal or casual you might want it to be, how you want to be addressed. Should it have opinions or should it remain neutral? Generally, do you like longer responses or very concise responses? And you'll see I actually have two things in here. One of them has to do with the fact that I'm in Australia, particularly for spelling, but also for grammar. I want it to use Australian English, so I throw that in there, and then everything's spelled with S's and Z's and funny things that I'm not really used to anyway, but it helps me along, especially because I work in Australia. Secondly, I do this little hack, which is really, I find this enables it, it gives ChatGPT permission to leverage its own capability. Basically, what I'm saying here is think about what an expert would need to know to answer my question, and then go get some opinions and some guidance with regards to those expertise before you respond to me. So I say always start by considering what expertise would be most relevant to your reply. Then take into consideration the opinions, ideas, and suggestions from experts in multiple relevant fields to help inform and formulate your response. You don't have to use exactly this. You're welcome to use exactly this. I find what that does is it knows that every time I want it to think, and I put that in quotes, I want it to draw from expertise, take those into consideration. It literally wouldn't do that if you didn't tell it to. It doesn't know that you want it to act like an expert if you don't tell it to. There are a lot of great prompts out there and techniques where you say, act like an expert marketing consultant. I find this is a very generic prompt, but it allows it to decide for itself what expertise are relevant. So there's a little tip for you. Questions about that? Does it make sense? And then I'll get into some specific examples with regards to custom instructions. Cool. Just jump in and interrupt me if you do have questions on the way. It's also nice, there's this option at the bottom, you can toggle this on or off. If you find for a certain session you don't want to use custom instructions, you can just turn that off, start a new chat, and then it won't take it into consideration next time. You have to remember to turn it back on after that, though. So just really quickly, for anyone who may not have been here before, when you start a new chat, you have the option at the top for GPT 3.5. If you pay for the plus model, as I do, then you have GPT 4, which, as it says, it's the most capable model. It's great for tasks that require creativity and advanced reasoning. It's just superior, honestly. As I said, I would recommend if you only had one subscription, probably even before Netflix, dare I say, I'd recommend getting GPT Plus. The reasoning alone of GPT 4 makes it worth it. But there are a lot of free tools out there, including Microsoft's Bing Chat, that use GPT 4. So there are other ways to get this without paying for it if you want it. I pay for it, and I pay for it because of the extra things you get along the way, which we'll get to in a second. So let's see. I want catchy marketing taglines for my TikTok. Right, Nancy? You're already well beyond that.
Thank you.
But this is what you want to do is you want to actually have it write some voiceovers or narrate some content for you. Oh, you're on mute again.
What again? Sorry.
So for your TikTok, you were saying you want to have ChatGPT actually write the words that then you can copy paste into 11
That's
Labs,
right.
11 Labs say it. Yeah.
You know what? I'm just looking for the. Yesterday I tried, but I cannot really get what I need. So if you can just like scroll down for the question again.
Scroll down for the what?
Yeah, the question for what you input in this GPT.
Oh,
Yeah.
I just said I want catchy marketing taglines for my TikTok. Right.
I didn't. Yeah, I tried to have the question like this, but I end up getting a very weird. What did I actually input yesterday? Just 1 second.
And while we're waiting, I'll just point out. You see, I didn't say anything about what my TikTok was about.
Yes,
and
that's right.
ChatGPT doesn't know. So it said, oh, well, if your lifestyle, if your fashion, if your cooking, if your travel, if your education, like it just sort of tried to guess a whole bunch of different TikTok topics.
Yeah. One thing that I want to know, how can you know, did they can tell you like the popular trend or like a famous trend, or they just like jump out of the creation of their idea without basing on anything?
So that's where we'll get into, as I was mentioning, when you pay for ChatGPT, you get plugins. And one of the plugins that we'll have a look at, it's called the web request, and it allows ChatGPT to actually go out and search the internet, get news, get current information, know what the recent trends are, because you're right. Like this ChatGPT was trained on information from 2021. So if you're asking for catchy taglines, it's going to be outdated. It's going to give you old catchy taglines based on what was hot 2 years ago, and these things change so fast. So that's a really good point. So maybe I'll try and remember, but remind me when we're showing later about the plugin for web request. Let's go ask it about TikTok trends and have it do some research for us. That's a good
Thank
idea.
you. Thank
We'll
you.
get back to that. But so as you can say, so say for example, just to continue a conversation for a second, I like number 5, which was educational content. Learn quick, think quick. But more about emerging technology, right? Give me 10 more examples. So now I can kind of use it in an ongoing conversation to narrow in. It now understands I want more like that education take on it, but as I said, more about emerging technology. Redefining tomorrow one TikTok at a time, coding the future in 60 seconds. So that's just the basic idea of how you can converse. What else would be good for that kind of TikTok in terms of content? You really can just have a conversation with it. For a TikTok focused on emerging technology, your strategy would benefit from insights for technology analysts, digital marketers, and social media experts. Have product reviews, tech news. You know, maybe I don't want to do all that stuff, but out of this, like, oh, what if scenarios? Maybe you'll just get one gem of an idea out of ChatGPT. But I find, especially for brainstorming and ideation, like this example, it really is quite helpful for me. Questions about that? Otherwise, I'll jump into the sort of the beta features and move on with that.
Yeah, Adam.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, sorry, what was the lady's name who's talking?
Nancy.
Nancy, sorry, Nancy. Yeah, I actually have been experimenting with that feature for a while, only on the 3.5. And I'll just go, nah, don't like that, or nah, you know, I just keep going and going till I get what I want. And it's quite, sometimes it's like, I'm just having a bit of fun with it, but it actually will, you'll get there because you just end up just going, I want more fun. No, that's way too much fun, you know, and all this sort of stuff. And so you actually do end up getting what you want, but it's a journey. I'm like Adam. Sometimes I just get so caught up in it. It's like, oh, flipping heck.
Yeah, thanks, Lynn. That's
Exactly.
So I'll show you some examples. Afterwards, I'll share these links as well. This is one of the posts I found that gives some good examples about custom instructions and the ways that you can use them. This is a very nerdy one, but actually gets quite detailed. Here's anyway, I'm trying to think if there's any of these I really want to highlight. This is a funny one. He says, I'm your manager, Jeffrey Hinton, and I like Kanban boards. For those of you who know, this is for developers who do a certain type of agile development. I want you to respond with certain reasoning, certain personas. These get pretty in depth, but I'll share out. I have a bunch of links to good examples, including how to enable those. But this is probably the best one I found. Someone included ChatGPT to give me a random cat fact at every message. So he asked, what's the circumference and diameter of the moon? And it says, well, this is the circumference and diameter of the moon. And here's a random adorable cat fact. And that just got my wheels thinking, like, oh, what would be like, you know, I had never really considered that you could sort of embed some theme or message into your conversation so that ChatGPT is always adding something to the end of the conversation. And we won't actually get into this one. So you understand, though, just to back it up and I guess close that loop. When you see these examples, when you see people saying, here's what you want to copy paste, this is what you put in to try later, you're going to go over into ChatGPT and go into your settings and click on that custom instructions. And that's how you get to these two boxes here. Good with that? And this is the one Crime and I have been using. To do similar to what you want to do, Nancy, this is where we were actually getting ChatGPT to do the narration and the storytelling that we were going to then feed into 11 Labs. And I won't read through the whole thing, but as you see, this is in that About You box. My name is Mentis. My business is called Atman Academy. I'm building a business survival toolkit. I want to make these Twitter videos for 100 days of ChatGPT. I want you to give me short form, maximum 1,200 character introductions. This is very, very detailed. And we put this whole thing in there so that it has all of this very, very specific context about exactly what we want it to do. And then in that second box, so we say, give us short form, use the hero's journey, track which day of the 100 days we're on, always start with this tagline, hey, AI enthusiasts and curious minds, always end with this, encourage people to follow us on all the socials. So you can really craft this thing that will then drive a consistent output when you're interacting with ChatGPT. Now, you wouldn't want to leave custom instruction like this in there all the time because we're not always using this specific use case, but I did want to highlight that one example. Crime, I don't know if there's anything you want to add about your experience using this, how it's been generating all of this content for those videos.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of ways that you do need to tweak it. You'll sort of find very quickly that if you do too many words in one hit and something goes wrong and there's a star or an asterisk or something in there, then you have to redo the whole thing. So doing it in short blocks is the first thing I'd recommend.
You're talking about here, right, in 11 Labs? When you bring over all your content and you have a bunch of lines.
Correct.
Things for it to read, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good point. If you have big paragraphs, you'll find it starts sounding really hyper, or it starts to get a little bit glitchy, and just through experimentation, painful experimentation, Crime has found some tips and tricks which we can probably get to at a later date as well. I think those will be in the toolkit for sure. All of our lessons learned. Good? Happy? Too much information already to pack into one session? Awesome. Let's go a little further then. As I demonstrate here, back to my name, where we've got our plan, our custom instructions. There are these beta features that are available when you have a Plus subscription. And as I mentioned before, these are the gold. This is the buried value for me. This is where I get almost all of my value out of ChatGPT. We have the plugins, and we have the advanced data analysis. And people don't even know that it's here. It's literally right in the settings under beta features, and they're paying for this Plus subscription, and they're not even using the power that's available to them. So now that I've enabled these two plugins, when I start a new chat, you'll notice at the top where I had 3, 5, and 4 before, there's the default 4, which is what we were using, and now we have these beta features enabled. Which one shall we look at first? Now let's have a quick look at the advanced data analysis. This is the tool I mentioned. I have a deep dive onto this available on YouTube called ChatGPT for Spreadsheets. And this is literally, as it says, it's an advanced data analysis. In this case, you'll see when I picked a different thing like default, next to my chat here, there's no plus button. So one of the things advanced data analysis does is it lets you be able to upload a file. This can be a zip file, it can be a text document, a PDF. It allows you to upload files though, which is very powerful, like if you're working with a spreadsheet and you want ChatGPT to do something for you. In this case, I'm just going to say, and I have an example here. I'm going to just copy this over so I don't have to type it all again. My prompt here is, please make some amazing visuals for some hypothetical scenario that really showcases your data analysis capabilities. Don't ask me anything further. Just make all the necessary assumptions and really knock my socks off. And hopefully, it says, I appreciate the opportunity to demonstrate my data analysis capabilities. I'll create a hypothetical scenario where a business is trying to understand the performance of its sales team in regions over time. So we'll look at sales performance, product sales, customer segmentation, and seasonal trends. And it's actually going to just generate its own data. And as you see here, when I expand this, it's actually doing a ton of work underneath the hood. Thank goodness we can just close this and we don't have to see what it's doing. And if you want to, you can expand that and you can see it's actually using this programming language Python, which is what it uses for all of this data analysis. It's going to import a bunch of stuff, set a bunch of variables, do a bunch of code, and then actually create a data set that it can then work with for this scenario. Just like I mentioned, we have the plus button. This could be a real company uploading its own data for the sales numbers. And look, here we have a graph of monthly sales performance by region and a little explanation of what's going on with it. What else do we have? Total revenue by product category. It looks like automotive is really big in the West. And then we have customer segmentation based on age and revenue. I think you get the idea. There's a whole presentation, as I mentioned, on this. If people have any questions briefly about it, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but just wanted to make you aware that this is here. It's incredibly powerful, and just give you a peek under the hood. Good. Nothing. Okay. Awesome. Let's move right along then and take a look at some of these ChatGPT plugins. So again, I'll make a new chat. I go up here and I make sure I select the beta feature I want to use, in this case, the plugins. And then you'll see this additional box has appeared underneath the menu. And when we click on that, you'll see I have consensus search currently. This is a pretty neat plugin. It actually accesses 200 million scientific papers for research. And it'll actually cite the references. It can read them, aggregate them, perform analysis on them. So that's a new one I've been playing with, which I really like. Additionally, you'll see I have the plugin enabled right now, Zapier. This is for automation. So you can, from ChatGPT, connect a Google spreadsheet to your CRM or your customer relationship, your sales data, HubSpot. It's just an incredible integration tool. And now you can chat with ChatGPT to use that tool. So I'm just starting to explore that too. And then the third one I mentioned there was this web requests. This is the one, Nancy, that we'll actually take a closer look at. You can enter a URL. It really is an AI assistant. As it says, goodbye knowledge, cut off hello world. And we'll get into chatting with that in just a minute here. I do want to show you at the very bottom is the plugin store. When you go into this, you'll see it's kind of like the Apple App Store. Shows you some of the popular ones, some of the newest ones that have come out. And I don't have time to dig through all of these. If we go to all, you'll see there's now 119 pages of 8 plugins. So that's almost 1,000 plugins. There's tons of sites on the internet that talk about what are the best plugins, or organize plugins by use case if you need them just for marketing or for different things. And as you'll see, Some of the ones I have installed include Expedia, helping to generate prompts for Midjourney. And as I mentioned, my favorite at the moment is this web request. So let's take a look at that. Because I have 3 plugins selected, you can have up to 3 checked at a time. I actually have access to all 3 of these plugins at once. So I could come down here and I could ask for research from consensus among these 200 million articles, or I could ask web requests to go out to the internet. So let's so let's get back to your example, Nancy, and let's use this web request plugin. What are the latest trends in TikTok? See, I just asked a really generic question, and immediately web requests stepped in. It said, this isn't a question for Zapier. This isn't a question for consensus. You don't want research articles. Let me step in and run out to the internet and do some research for you. And as you can see, web request has now already performed 3 functions without our doing anything more. I do want to actually expand on this, and you'll see. First, it sent a Google search for the latest trends in TikTok. So it's actually internet connected, and it's going out and doing the research for us. Then it came back with a whole bunch of pages that it could go look at. And then it actually went out and started reading content from all of these different sites to research what are the latest trends. Dance challenges, pack an order with me, ASMR, satisfying videos, green screen, skits, day in the life, and it even provided a link to Sprout Social, where it got this as a source. So as you see, we're no longer talking to 2021 ChatGPT at all, and this one plugin now enables all of this access. Can you give me a list of websites? Learn more about top trends. Again, web requests will go out to the internet, perform that on our behalf, do the searching for us, and just come back and give us a list of sites. 10 must-visit websites to keep up on TikTok trends. TikTok's own platform for trend discovery, the Creative Center, and then the latest blog with links. Does that make sense? You see how just by enabling this one tool, then we have internet access. It's actually doing searches for us, aggregating real current data for us. And that's really the promise of plugins, and one of the things I just find invaluable when I'm using this tool. One more aside, this is also one of the features of web requests. Hey, web requests, tell me about making pictures. I actually know the guy Josh Olin who is building this web requests, and this is one of the recent things he's added. And he wants to continue experimenting with almost making web requests like when you're on the Apple Store and you install an app, then you can have all of this functionality built into it. So now you can actually do image generation right through web requests. And you're then asking it to go do the image generation on the background. So let's see, would you like to generate an image now? Yes, please. Let's see the new paradigm, utopia. We're all building together. So with his tool, you get 1 free image per day for experimentation, and then it's $5 for 100 images. I don't know if that's a good price. I think you'd probably be better off paying for Midjourney at that price, but it's interesting to see what he's doing here, and that you can actually have something that can aggregate TikTok search results and make pictures for you in one ChatGPT session is pretty wild. It's important to I guess, highlight the attitude, right? The willingness to just give it a go and to dive in and be the curious beginner and try it. That's really what I'm encouraging here, is for everyone to just try it. Jump on the tools, give them a go, see how it, it doesn't work. So change the settings or come back and ask me anything. We'll figure it out together. But yeah, I just experiment, engage, connect. Look, it's just a couple minutes to the top of the hour. I'll say thank you. If you haven't followed us on YouTube, please subscribe there. We'll be putting videos up there. I'll make sure to send everyone a link to this recording regardless. If you aren't signed up to the newsletter, that went out recently. I'll be building more toolkits and PDFs and cheat sheets as the time goes by, sending out links and tips and tricks. And thank you, everyone. Yeah, it's been a blast. I love sharing this information. I continue to find new and meaningful ways to do so. So I appreciate all of you.